Good morning, English 10 students, and welcome to our Quarter 4, Week 6 discussion. This is Aljay Buhian, your English 10 subject teacher. For this week, we will be talking about grammar as a tool for making meaning. So let us enjoy and listen well to this discussion. Before we go on to our discussion, let us identify first our objectives. So at the end of this lesson, the learners are expected to, or you are expected to, observe correct grammar and making definitions, use correct grammar structure in making meaning, and define unfamiliar words by following the guidelines. Okay, so this week we'll be focusing about the basic guidelines to follow when writing a definition. So first guideline is just the dictionary facts. So a definition should contain the information about the word and what the word refers to. Do not include usage notes and get to the point. Clarity, brevity, and conciseness are better when writing a definition. Okay, so in this guideline, when writing a definition, we need to just give the information what the word refers to, and we do not need, or it is not necessary for us to include the usage notes of that kind of certain word, and we need to get to the point. And when writing definition, we need to have a clear or brief and concise of the definition that we are writing for that kind of or certain word. So example for this guideline is this one. So this is a correct sentence. So a directory is a kind of book that gives list of facts arranged in alphabetical order. Then the incorrect one. So a directory is a kind of book that gives list of facts, for example, people's names, addresses, and telephone numbers, or the names and addresses of business companies, usually arranged not in an alphabetical order. So basically these two sentences are correct, but as we base on the guideline, just the dictionary facts, we do not need to, or it is not necessary for us to include the usage notes of that certain word. So we just have to get to the point with a clear, brief, and concise of giving the definitions. Second guideline is to avoid complicated terms. So avoid terms that are more complicated or more technical than the term being defined, because the purpose of this is to clarify meaning. So when writing a definition, we need to avoid the words that are more complicated than the word that we are trying to define. So the purpose of this is because we need the readers, or we need to clarify the meaning of that something or the word to our readers. So just like for these examples, so the correct giving a definition of a word, homeless. So homeless means having no permanent place of residence. Then the incorrect one, so homeless means involuntarily domiciled. So basically these two are also same meaning. They have the same meaning, but the incorrect one has a more complicated or technical term being defined to that word that is homeless. So just like these words, involuntarily domiciled. So this is much more complicated than the word that is being defined, which is the homeless. So the correct or the easiest way to define homeless is this one. So the correct. So homeless means having no permanent place of residence. So we can easily understand that homeless is what having no permanent place or residence. Third guideline is to avoid specific terms. So use conventional English words in explanations whenever possible. So the more widespread a term is, the more users will benefit. So stay away from jargon in which highly technical terms will most likely require a user to look up many terms in the definition just to understand what it says, although there are cases that involve the use of technical term in a specialized field that it should be minimal. So these are the examples. So this is the correct giving definition of the word acidity. So acidity is the state of having acid excessively. So the incorrect. So acidity is the state of having extreme vitriolic base. So in these two sentences, we can say that these two have the same meaning, but in the incorrect one, the meaning of acidity is given in the specific terms, in which we may not be able to understand it if we are not familiar with the word acidity. So we just need to follow in order for us to have a good definition of word. So we need to avoid the specific terms as much as possible. Okay, so the fourth guideline is to avoid circularity. So it is not good to define a word with the same word in the definition. Instead, use different terms. Avoid defining a term solely using etymologically or morphologically related terms. So adverbs are especially prone to being defined by the adjective from which they derive. So examples for this is correct giving definition of the word putrid. So putrid is being in a state of rotten. So the incorrect one, putrid is being in a state of rotten, decayed, foul, and being putrid all throughout. So we can see that in this, or in the incorrect giving of definition the word putrid, the word putrid is being used in giving the definition. So we can see that in the right side of the slide, where we can see the word putrid. So as what the guideline says, that we do not or it is not good to define a word with the same word in definition. So avoid defining term solely using these etymologically or morphologically related terms. So that's it. Then the last guideline is to make it simple. So write with simple grammatical structures rather than complex ones, and place key terms and short explanations near the start of the definition. So when we are going to write a definition of a word, so we need to make it simple. So avoid a complex one, or avoid those complex ones. So it's because we are trying to make our definition more understandable to our reader. So these are the examples. So correct giving explanation or definition of the word esterification. So a esterification is a process of adding narrative to a certain topic. So in this statement or sentence, we can easily understand what is the meaning of esterification. Then the incorrect. So esterification is a process of adding narrative to a certain topic, transforming some facts into a story that helps the reader comprehend the passage that needs to be synthesized later on. So in this sentence, it is giving a definition which is more complex than the sentence or the correct one. Okay, so now let's proceed to learning a simple sentence. So a simple sentence contains a subject and a verb and may also have an object and modifiers. However, it contains only one independent clause. So just like for these examples, so first example, we have the subject, which is the girl, then verb, which is left, then direct object, the door, and it has no indirect object, and it has object complement, which is open. So the girl left the door open. So this is an example of a simple sentence. Then the second one, he is a good singer. Third, she ate a hot dog. Then number 4, Anna gave an apple to her mother. So all these sentences or all these examples are examples of a simple sentence which contains a subject and a verb and may also have an object modifiers. So every sentence requires a subject and a predicate. So in the grammar world, this is called subject-verb agreement. So subjects and verbs must agree with one another, singular or plural. So thus, if the subject is singular, its verb must also be singular. If the subject is plural, so its verb must be plural also. So as with writing basic definitions, observing correct grammatical structure, so it requires skills and practice. So we just have to practice it and make our skills more than the usual. So that ends our topic for this week. So thank you for listening and may God bless you on your activity for this week. So this is Algebri and your English 10 subject teacher.